up, all my doors are open. Cut my thoughts for coconuts, all my eggs are broken. Hop my heart song, hop my height, seraphs hold me steady. Hit my angel, hide my light, lay it on the
Early morning in the universe. The wife is getting up, opening up the windows. This loft that's in the Bowery in the Lower East Side, New York. She's a painter and her husband's a railroad brakeman. And he's coming home in a couple of hours, about 5 hours from the local. Of course, the room's in a mess. There's her husband's coat on the chair. Been there for 3 days. Neckties and his tortured socks. She has to get the kid up to go to school. Pablo. He says, why you have to eat that stuff all over again, that farina? I ain't gonna say that I'm gonna live 100 years, but I've been eating farina for about 100 years. She says, button your fly and go out and answer the door. Gregory Corso and Allen Ginsberg there, laying their beer cans out on the table, bringing up all the wine, wearing hoods and parkas, falling on the couch, all bursting with poetry, while she's saying, now you get your coat, get your little hat, and we're going to go off to school. A health to you this morning, Mr. Hart Crane, Old Bridge. Look at all those cars out there. There's nothing out there but a million screaming 90-year-old men being run over by gasoline trucks. So throw the match on it. Well, that's all right. She says, come on now, you gotta go to school, learn all about the geography and astronomology and bibliology and all the homologies and poetology and good biology. And he said, I don't want to go to school. And they're sitting there talking about Empire State Building and dooms of bridges, and they wave out. Goodbye. Says, well, he says, I tell you my poem about the Empire State Building that had not doomed the dumb eyes of New York all the time. That's pretty good. He says, hey, I've got a new poem, too. He says, AmarA dying in an ambulance. Say, I've written some poems. I see your poems. All these poets struggling to be poets. Kenneth Fearing and Kenneth Rexroth and W.H. Auden and Louise Bogan and all the poets. But burning in the purple moonlight at the same time, if they want to. They turn over their little purple moonlight pages in which their secret naked doodlings do show. Secret scatological thought. And that's why everybody wants to see it. So here he was, and he fell back. He was all excited, and he laid out his paper and his tobacco on the floor, and he made a few little funny signs at me. gesture all the, die all the, crucified all the, Golgotha all the scenes. Yes, that's right, that's right, that's right, that's right, that's what I said, that's right, that's right, that's right, that's what I said. And if you read Apollinaire? What do you mean I haven't read Apollinaire? I read Apollinaire, I wrote books about Apollinaire, I wrote essays about Apollinaire. All about Apollinaire, man, jumping back and down, Apollinaire, man. Come on, don't act like a hip cat, you know, a hipster. I'm not interested. He said, well, Apollinaire wrote a poem at the grave of Balzac and fell down. And Balzac, come on, man, he's seeing you writhing around all day long like that. I'm tired. What are you trying to play violins for? Don't you know that Empire State has fallen underneath the Gowanus Canal? No, the Lower East Side has produced all the strange gum-chewing geniuses. He says, he says, you make me, I could tell you poems that would make you weep with long hair. Goodbye, goodbye.
Rebirth.
Bend knees, shift weight. Picasso's blue death head self-portrait tacked on refrigerator door. This is the only space in the apartment big enough to do Tai Chi. Straighten right foot and rise. I wonder if I should have set aside that garbage pail. Raise up my hands and bring them back to shoulders. The towels and pajama laundry's hanging on the rope in the hall. Push down and you grasp the sparrow's tail. Those paper boxes of grocery bags are blocking the closed door. Turn north. I should hang up all those pots on the stovetop. Am I holding the world right? That Hopi picture on the wall shows rain and lightning bolt. Turn right again, through the door. God, my office space. A mess of pictures and unanswered letters. Left on my hips. Thank God Arthur Rimbaud's watching me from over the sink. Single whip. Piano's in the room. Well, Stephen and Maria finally moved to their own apartment next week. His pants are still here, and Julius in his bed. This gesture's the opposite of St. Francis in Ecstasy by Bellini. Hands down for me. I better concentrate on what I'm doing. Weight in belly, move from hips. No, that was the single whip. That apron's hanging on the north wall a year. I haven't used it once, except to wipe my hands. The crane spreads its wings. Have I paid the electric bill? Playing the guitar. Do I have enough money to leave the rent paid while I'm in China? Brush knee. That was good halava. Pounded sesame seed in the icebox a week. Withdraw and push. I should get a loft or giant living room. The land speculators bought up all the square feet in Manhattan, beginning with the Indians. Cross hands. I should write a letter to the Times saying it's unethical. Come to rest. Hands down, knees straight. I wonder how my liver's doing. Okay, I guess, tonight. I quit smoking last week. I wonder if they'll blow up an H-bomb. Probably not.
What I'll do is now just relax on it. An odd poem, half poem, half not poem. A chain poem, which I've never read aloud, there not being any particular occasion to do so, written on May 8, 1972, by Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche and myself. Chogyam Trungpa is a Tibetan Lama who worked at Samye Ling. And then I was working in America. So this was written in Boulder, Colorado. Moon has eclipse. Walking down Market Street by the parking lot. Miniskirts and distant chatter and sleeping automobiles. It was a rainy day, everybody wearing raincoats. Some didn't care to use umbrellas because they wanted to look at the full moon. All this happened in America. The world, America, is sunny side up. Turtle Island, said the Maidu Indians. Shakespeare might have said discretion is the better part of valor. But I said it when I was a coward at 17. Elizabethan mud is full of pearls. Courtiers carried swords and wore lace sleeves and pricked each other's eyes out in the tavern drunk. Arguing, writing pamphlets on New World nicotine. Mississippi mud is full of smelly socks. Bostonian books are full of words Oxonians might laugh at, what Cambridge people regard as a scholastic event, while Scots from the Edinburgh University respect nevertheless the fact that catfish wriggle their spines in dharmic silt. All a brain thought, strolling by the Cam, discussing gay canoes, green banks, with tender scholars dreaming Buddhas putting on their socks and lacing animal shoes. Who graduates, mindless, with a Doctor of Fish degree? Old decrepit teacher in his digs making lonely tea, waiting for a rosy-cheeked scholar bring him fish and chips? Ginsberg hood, Quebec politics. Canada is North America, with nuclear ideas. Nova Scotia salmon is possibly eatable, but buffalo of Buffalo is not American enough. Long-term friendship is not expected, as much as that of Statue of Liberty. Grand Central Station is realistic, as you light cigarettes in it. Olympic Games might prove there is no further world unless a chain poem invents one. In the next line, pretty solar system, Martians with Samantabhadra message riding on a line, holding on the tail of the tiger. Sun and moon apart except eclipse. Kundalini practice might bring neurological buzz and flash. Knot of eternity is what smokes in the parking lot. Cross-legged, sighing after orgasm, tingling in the prick, evacuating the entire Mississippi River, catfishes, moons, automobiles, dharmas, Samantabhadras by the dozen, dime store Santa Clauses, immeasurable Suzukis, Band-Aids, tiger roarings, eternal love sighs and tomato eternities, driftwood, dirty diapers smeared with mustard, sun and moon conned by mafias, Buddha mind and Nixon bodhicitta, Kennedy memory and airplanes hijacking their
I may have to go also. So nothing will happen before.
It's part of our normal consciousness. If one is building a work of art out of one's actual consciousness instead of an artificial consciousness, that language will enter in as part of the building blocks, just as sensory perceptions, Pound's phanopoeic, that is mind-eye images, will enter in because they're part of our sensory field, and part of our sensory field is the language running through our head, the language we speak in every day. Those are the building blocks of art. Television can't be arty until television comes around to the old human usages.
Well,
I come from an old tradition, so. Do you know the Hare Krishna chant?
No, go ahead.
To the preservation of the universe instead of its destruction. Krishna returns in the Bhagavad Gita every time there's a flood, fire, original sin leading to atom bombs. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
That was the most unhurried Krishna I ever heard.
Anyway, Howl for Carl Solomon. I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness, starving, hysterical, naked, dragging themselves through the Negro streets at dawn looking for an angry fix. Angel-headed hipsters, burning for the ancient, shuddering connection to the starry dynamo in the machinery of night, who poverty and tatters and hollow-eyed and high sat up smoking in the supernatural darkness of cold water flats floating across the tops of cities contemplating jazz, who bared their brains to heaven under the L and saw Mohammedan angels staggering on tenement roofs illuminated, who passed through universities with radiant, cool eyes hallucinating Arkansas and Blake Light tragedy among the scholars of war, who were expelled from the academies for crazy and publishing obscene odes on the windows of their skull, who ate fire in paint hotels or drank turpentine in Paradise Alley, death, or purgatoried their torsos night after night with dreams, with drugs, with waking nightmares, alcohol and cock and endless balls, incomparable blind streets of shuddering cloud and lightning in the mind, leaping toward poles of Canada and Patterson, illuminating all the motionless world of time between, peyote solidities of halls, backyard green-treed cemetery dawns, wine drunkenness over the rooftops, storefront burrows of tea-head joyride, neon blinking traffic light, sun and moon and tree vibrations in the roaring winter dusks of Brooklyn, ashcan rantings and kind king light of mind, who chained themselves to subways for the endless ride from Battery to Holy Bronx on Benzedrine until the noise of wheels and children brought them down shuddering, mouth-racked and battered, bleak of brain, all drained of brilliance in the drear light of zoo, who sank all night in submarine Bickfords and floated out to sit through the stale beer afternoon in desolate Fugazis, listening to the crack of doom on the hydrogen jukebox, who talked continuously 70 hours, from park to pad to bar to Bellevue to museum to the Brooklyn Bridge, a lost battalion of platonic conversationalists jumping down the stoops, off fire escapes, off windowsills, off Empire State, out of the moon. Yakety-yakking, screaming, vomiting, whispering facts and memories and anecdotes and eyeball kicks and shocks of hospitals and jails and wars, whole intellects disgorged in total recall for 7 days and nights with brilliant eyes, meet for the synagogue cast on the pavement, who vanished into nowheres then New Jersey, leaving a trail of ambiguous pictures of Atlantic City Hall, suffering eastern sweats and Tangerian bone grindings and migraines of China under junk withdrawal in Newark's bleak furnished room, who wandered around and around at midnight in the railroad yard wondering where to go and went, leaving no broken hearts, who lit cigarettes in boxcars, racketing through snow toward lonesome farms in grandfather night, who studied Plotinus, Poe, St. John of the Cross, telepathy, and Bop Kabbalah because the cosmos instinctively vibrated at their feet in Kansas, who loaned it through the streets of Idaho seeking visionary Indian angels who were visionary Indian angels, who thought they were only mad when Baltimore gleamed in supernatural ecstasy, who jumped in limousines with the Chinamen of Oklahoma on the impulse of winter, midnight, streetlight, small-town rain, who lounged hungry and lonesome through Houston, seeking jazz or sex or soup, and followed the brilliant Spaniard to converse about America and eternity, a hopeless task, and so took ship to Africa, who disappeared into the volcanoes of Mexico, leaving behind nothing but the shadow of dungarees and the lava and ash of poetry scattered in fireplace Chicago, who reappeared on the West Coast investigating the FBI in beards and shorts, with big pacifist eyes, sexy in their dark skin, passing out incomprehensible leaflets, who burned cigarette holes in their arms, protesting the narcotic tobacco haze of capitalism, who distributed super-communist pamphlets in Union Square, weeping and undressing, while the sirens of Los Alamos wailed them down, and wailed down Wall and the Staten Island Ferry also wailed, who broke down crying in white gymnasiums, naked and trembling before the machinery of other skeletons, who bit detectives in the neck and shrieked with delight in police cars for committing no crime but their own wild cooking pederasty and intoxication, who howled on their knees in the subway and were dragged off the roof waving genitals and manuscripts, who let themselves be blanked in the ass by saintly motorcyclists and screamed with joy, who blew and were blown by those human seraphim, the sailors, caresses of Atlantic and Caribbean love, who bawled in the morning, in the evenings, in rose gardens, in the grass of public parks and cemeteries, scattering their semen freely to whomever, come who may, who hiccuped endlessly trying to giggle but wound up with a sob behind a partition in a Turkish bath, when the blonde and naked angel came to pierce them with a sword, who lost their love boys to the three old shrews of fate, the one-eyed shrew of the heterosexual dollar, the one-eyed shrew that winks out of the womb, and the one-eyed shrew that does nothing but sit on her ass and snip the intellectual golden threads of the craftsman's loom, who copulated ecstatic and insatiate with a bottle of beer, a sweetheart, a package of cigarettes, a candle, and fell off the bed and continued along the floor and down the hall and ended fainting on the wall with a vision of ultimate snatch and come, eluding the last jism of consciousness, who sweetened the snatches of a million girls trembling in the sunset and were red-eyed in the morning but prepared to sweeten the snatch of the sunrise, flashing buttocks under barns and naked in the lake, who went out whoring through Colorado in myriad stolen night cars, N.C., secret hero of these poems, Coxman and Adonis of Denver, joy to the memory of his innumerable lays of girls in empty lots and diner backyards, movie houses, rickety rows, on mountaintops in caves, or with gaunt waitresses and familiar roadside lonely petticoat upliftings, and especially secret gas station solipsisms of John's and hometown alleys too, who faded out in vast sordid movies, were shifted in dreams, woke on a sudden Manhattan, and picked themselves up out of basements hung over with heartless Tokay and horrors of Third Avenue iron dreams, and stumbled to unemployment offices, who walked all night with their shoes full of blood on the snowbank docks, waiting for a door in the East River to open to a room full of steam heat and opium, who created great suicidal dramas on the apartment cliff banks of the Hudson under the wartime blue floodlight of the moon, and their heads shall be crowned with laurel in oblivion, who ate the lamb stew of the imagination, or digested the crab at the muddy bottom of the rivers of Bowery, who wept at the romance of the streets with their pushcarts full of onions and bad music, who sat in boxes breathing in the darkness under the bridge and rose up to build harpsichords in their lofts, who coughed on the 6th floor of Harlem, crowned with flame under the tubercular sky surrounded by the orange crates of theology, who scribbled all night, rocking and rolling over lofty incantations which in the yellow morning were stanzas of gibberish,